Welcome to the WCA World Cyber Arena tournament here, 2014. Whatiship and Vykromond are going to be bringing you the cast here on Beyond the Schedule, and we've also got Phage Guy on stats. It's going to be Alliance versus Newbee. Vykromond, it's been a while since I don't even know the last time we've cast together.
Oh my god. Definitely before TI4, probably a few months ago, I think.
Yeah, it's
How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing good, man. This has been this has been quite the journey thus far getting into this game. A little bit of schedule issues. There's 3 games going on right now. So if you guys would like to watch any of the others, it's C9 versus Team Malaysia, and I think LGD versus Vici as well. So those are on BTS1 and Dota Starladder _EN for the English casts. But we're well underway here already. Quick first phase here in the draft. Terrorblade banned out, Naga banned out, and Alliance Naga. I'm not sure if that's a thing we're going to see ever again in this tournament.
Yeah, I kind of doubt it. I think Newbee pretty much didn't have any other choices for bans, because Terrorblade is like kind of Naga on steroids, right? And Naga is Naga, so they really had to take those out or Alliance would steal them. Looks like they're going to take Spectre out too, so I think Alliance was sort of expecting these bans as well. It's all these Radiance-friendly ratting / late game type carries, and that's really what I think has helped Alliance almost resurrect themselves, right? Because they were doing really bad.
They've had
just like whatever,
it's been rough.
Push with Naga. Yeah.
Then they realized that with this new patch, they can do what they've been doing, and what they were used to be winning with, and now it's back. I don't know how else to say it. The rat is back, and it's working out really well for them. I mean, the games might not be exciting, they might not they might not be quick, but I think when it comes down to it, Alliance, they get the job done in these patches that let them just sit back and farm. But a lot of the tools that they normally use are gone. So what do you think? What are we going to see here besides Brew and Nature's Prophet?
Well, so the Nature's Prophet means that they probably aren't going to give Loda that very hard carry. Obviously, a lot of them have been banned out, but I think they're moving. As soon as they saw the Naga ban, they moved away from that. I actually think the Spectre ban from Newbee was maybe wasted, because
I agree.
What Alliance does with these, when they give Loda something like this, is they'd go hard for Protect 1. Once you see the Furion, you know that they're probably not going to give Loda something like that, because there's not enough room on the map for Loda and Bulldog to farm hard. So like when they give Loda a Naga or Spectre, it's always like Clock, Brew, Visage, and something else, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense when you think about the way that they've been playing. And C9 has sort of adopted this playstyle as well when they can get it with, just going mega late with Envy on one of these super hard carries. Yeah. And Alliance, so they've got the Brewmaster, the Nature's Prophet, so a little bit more fighting oriented. Obviously, with the Brewmaster, you can clear out some space to have the Nature's Prophet push down towers. Early Blink Dagger lets you win those early fights. And it looks like, at least so far, they're going to be looking to engage onto this Death Prophet and not really let her get moving along. Because I think that's really when Death Prophet is the big issue, when she just AFK farms to like 11, gets like 1 or 2 towers, has the Yules and, some sort of semblance of an HP item, even if it's just a Vit booster at level 11, it can get really ugly.
Yeah, your timing for level 11 and what you do with it is extremely important for Death Prophet. If you watched the Naga game yesterday, Alliance versus Vici, they had the Death Prophet, but the level 11 was just a bit slow, and when they hit 11, you gotta push.
You gotta go.
Really
it's
use
go
that
time.
Level tool. Yeah, and they didn't, but I think when Newbee plays Death Prophet, and they do so a lot, they are more, although I think less often recently, but they do play it a lot, and I think they sort of know what the timing is, and they're going to try to really push hard on it.
Obviously the changes in 6.82 and 6.82b were largely targeted at teams like Newbee, obviously with the International 4 finals, the last game being about 13 or 14 minutes. That death ball strategy, it's sufficiently nerfed where you don't see games like that, but it's, I think, still completely valid to have a push lineup. Yeah, you just have to work for it. You need to, it's not like a free roll, kind of like it was earlier when you had the Death Prophet. You can't just ball down, so...
The other thing is, one of the less people. I mean, it's a clear, it's a clear result of the change. But something people don't talk about a lot is it makes you also commit to pushing one lane a little more.
Agreed.
In the last patch, one of the things that made the death ball so good was that you can take tier 1 towers with fairly little risk to your team. Yeah. So you take all 3 tier 1s. That was like 4K, and that's it. At that point, you're done. You might as well rax. So there's been multiple changes to that. One is the refreshing glyph. so it's harder to push all the tier 1s, and it's easier to push
10
down one
seconds
lane,
remaining.
and you get less gold. So
Yeah,
the combination of those things.
yeah,
means
it's
that you
much
can't
worse.
rax,
5
yeah.
seconds
So
remaining.
moving forward, Vengeful Spirit is actually picked up here by the Alliance. Newbee have grabbed the Doom and the
Reserve
Weaver.
time.
Vengeful Spirit, I think, one of those heroes that's benefited quite a bit from the other changes in 6.82. Obviously, the change to Howl is pretty nice for Vengeful Spirit, being able to cancel salves and things like that. And also a slight little buff to the range with swap, I think, has helped a little bit. So
I think it helps a lot, especially because the level 6 is
it's
the old range at level
normally
6 was
so
bad.
short. Yeah, it's actually disgusting. And I don't know. I mean, I think Vengeful Spirit
She's just
definitely can
good.
find a place. She has a good stun. She's a good roaming support, especially when you have a hero in mid lane like
And she
Brewmaster. Yeah, exactly. She scales extremely well.
I think Venge is just like Venge is the exact sort of hero that you'd expect to see more after a patch like this. You want you want your supports to have impact, scale, be able to get solo kills if they want. She just does everything and be good in team fights, right? And she does all those things. So the fact that I think it's Misery who usually plays this hero for Alliance.
Newbee's turn to
So I mean, I think it's great. And actually, Phage just pointed out she has a very good win rate, more than 54% in this patch. And that doesn't surprise me, honestly. She's the exact sort of hero you would want.
Yeah, Nyx Assassin picked up here for Alliance. That's not a hero we've seen a lot in the new patch, and interested to see how this plays out. I mean, I can understand it does give you a little bit of extra game starting your initiations on Death Prophet, a little bit of extra damage. You can get solo kills fairly easily with this hero as well, obviously, if you get any sort of decent start. So Skywrath Mage is going to have to be pretty afraid of Nyx, honestly.
Nyx is a very interesting choice here. Yeah, I guess it must be anti-Skywrath because he's not amazing against Death Prophet. He's fine but mediocre. He is nothing special against Doom, and I mean, not really against Weaver either. So maybe this fits in with whatever their 5th pick is going to be, but it's not. They're going to really have to work to make this Nyx effective because it does look like a support Nyx, right? They don't put load on Brew. Brew is always Chessie's hero. Probably like his 2nd or 3rd best hero. Honestly, I think like his Viper is substantially above all of his other heroes, but he's fine on Brew. So, alright, yeah, so it's anti-mage. Okay, so the idea here is similar to what Alliance have been doing lately, which is we're going to be extremely aggressive early with this Nyx and Venge. We're going to get a lead, and then we're going to stop the game.
Just sit on it.
We're just going to, yeah.
Yeah, and they're going to use that anti-mage to farm up, and obviously Nature's Prophet can continue applying pressure on the map with the Brewmaster and the Vengeful Spirit, Nyx Assassin as well, and I kind of like the strategy here from Alliance. They've figured out what's worked for them in this patch, as short-lived as this patch has been so far, but they're sticking to their guns, trying to make it happen, and Newbee are going to wrap it up with the Tidehunter here.
It's an interesting draft from Alliance, honestly. The Nyx is to me the main risk point. If he doesn't get levels, it's gonna fall apart completely.
Agreed.
Like the hero needs levels, but Anti-Mage is pretty good here. I mean, Anti-Mage used to be very difficult to pick into a Doom, but now you get doomed and
it's not that bad. It's like, okay, I can't blink, I can't mana void, but I still have spell shield, so that Doom doesn't even do that much, and I still, of course, have mana break, which is probably the big thing, and it's fairly good against the Skywrath Mage as well. God forbid he ulties and then gets mana voided. That's going to be extremely ugly.
He can go something like, if he goes like Butterfly, what the hell? Like, Newbee doesn't do anything to him at that point.
Pretty much all physical damage besides the Skywrath Mage, and he doesn't really care about that as well, that much as well. So
yeah, because he's got the spell shield. So yeah, Anti-Mage actually quite good against that mixed damage profile that Newbee is bringing. I guess the only issue is, again, Alliance has to have enough map control to have space for both the Nature's Prophet and the Anti-Mage.
Yeah,
if Newbee can gain early map control, it's going to be not a fun time.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, Newbee's lineup besides the Death Prophet though is not really geared towards too much early pressure. They have Tidehunter, which I think is primarily going to be to re-engage on fights when they get jumped on and try to catch out the Brewmaster. So it doesn't really look like they're going to be assaulting towers besides the Death Prophet, but that does take enough time there for Alliance, I think, to edge out an advantage before that happens. But looks like we might have a little bit of a collision here in the Radiant jungle. Loda is leading the way here. Nothing skilled up. He is going to have to be careful from the Skywrath Mage if he does go for the silence, but looks like they're just going to be passing each other.
Yeah.
Fairly sketchy.
That could have been That could have been really, really
that
bad.
could have been really ugly. But let's do some quick introductions here. For Alliance, it's going to be Loda on the Anti-Mage, Misery on the Nyx Assassin, Aki is going to be picking up the Vengeful Spirit, Chessie on the Brewmaster, and Admiral Bulldog is going to be on his Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, and for Newbee, it's going to be Sanshang supporting on the Skywrath Mage. Xiaotuji or Rabbit is actually going to play the Tidehunter, so he'll be up there. Bananas on the Doom. Newbee, sort of the first team to really use a lot of Doom jungle in the past season, so I'm not that surprised to see it. Mu on the Death Prophet, and Hao is going to be on the Weaver.
He's going to grab himself an Invis Rune to start this one out, so we'll see how the lanes settle here. For now, it looks like Alliance might be interested in going aggressive with their tri-lane here.
Wow. Interesting. So they did that the other day too, right, against Vici. The idea was we're gonna crush your tri-lane a bit and then swap to safe and farm. And I think if it works, it's very good. It's sort of you trade off early risk for safety later on. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's how Misery generally likes to play, right? I mean, LGDN was masters of the 1 minute 30 smoke gank and then just sit back after that. So we'll see. I mean, it's not like Newbee's tri-lane is really a tri-lane. They've got Banana playing the Doom. He's going to be fairly non-interactive early on. Could work.
Yeah, it could work. And it looks like, I mean, Alliance have really put a lot into this early gank, and it looks like they're not going to get anything out of it. The smoke's dispelled by the Weaver. They also get spotted out by this Ward. So now they're going to go settle up in the top lane with Loda on the Anti-Mage. But, I mean, Weaver's going to have a tough time here. Loda's pretty much going to get whatever he wants if one person stays in this lane to sort of help him out, especially if it's the Venge. You can zone, you have the stun. Skywrath Mage is okay. I mean, obviously in tri-lane versus tri-lane, it's one of the most prevalent heroes. So we'll find out how Alliance actually control this. And for now, it looks like things are going pretty well for them.
Yeah, I mean, the lanes are fine. Nature's Prophet, Tidehunter is even-ish, I would say. Tidehunter shouldn't have too many issues.
Yeah,
a lot of heroes Nature's Prophet can just harass down, but because of Kraken Shell, the treants do almost nothing to him. In middle, Brew DP is like a little DP favored, but not strongly, like 55-45, so... And, I mean, yeah, right now the tri-lane is going, I think, okay for them as well.
Oh, God, Sanshang is blocked. Now they're got the stun off as well. Misery going to go through there with the other stun, and oh, boy.
Nice.
Easy first blood. Good blink there by Loda, putting himself in a position so they can line up that stun, followed up with the Impale.
That was really well placed.
Yeah, very smooth tri-lane there.
And they need that. They need to... it's going to be a lot harder, I think, to pick off Hao, so if they want to just abuse Sanshang as much as possible.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
think it's a good decision.
And they do have sentries as well, though, so they're going to go on Hao, at least harass him a little bit. I don't think they're going to be able to kill him quite yet. Not another stun available for Aki. He's actually taking a fair amount of harass as well. But checking in on the other lanes, fairly even. Top lane a little bit in favor of the Weaver, but everything else is fairly close across the board here. With Brewmaster losing the most in the mid lane. But
yeah,
I think this gets a little bit better once you have more levels in the nuke. Because you can just run up to Mu and nuke him, you know?
Absolutely. The nuke is the critical thing here. And so he's going to be using that to catch up. I think he'll be fine, honestly. He just played this matchup against VG, and it's not like VG is a bad mid or anything, so...
Yep.
Bulldog looks like... I think it's okay for both teams, honestly, because Hao is farming just fine. He's tied with Loda. Yeah, your Skywrath's behind, but worst comes to worst, he can leech off of Doom a little bit. In fact, Doom has moved to the bot, so Skywrath right now is just stacking and pulling. Alliance haven't blocked or anything, so... I think Newbee will feel pretty good as long as the Death Prophet is winning her lane, which she is.
Loda's farm has slowed down quite a bit, though, in the last couple of minutes. Really, really good control here by Hao, keeping everything underneath the tower, making it so he can just sort of continue farming while Loda is having a much harder time right now. But, I mean, I think, you know, this isn't going to be like a really greedy anime. She is going to finish up treads first and just continue farming at a decent pace. And as long as the Vengeful Spirit, I think, creates a little bit of space with the Nyx, it should be fine for Loda to be able to find the room.
I am surprised that they, even after the first blood, didn't do any sort of switch. I mean, mainly Ake has come bot with his Vengeful Spirit. This is blocked, so he's not going to be able to easily stack and pull. Also, not going to be really possible to kill Tide.
Yeah, it seems pretty unlikely.
Maybe with Chessie, but definitely, even like if Misery came over, it wouldn't really do anything.
No.
So I'm glad they at least rotated one support away. Otherwise, Alliance's supports need levels. Banana's just going to get levels by being Doom. So they need to make sure that their supports can maintain levels. Otherwise, They're going to have possibly issues with like clearing waves and counter pushing when Newbee gets into that mid game push. That's one of the things that worries me about Nyx. Like, he's not going to anti-push at all.
Yeah, he's pretty single target. Of course, you can get multiple hero impels. They're going to actually move on Rabbit here. And I think it comes down to what you're saying. There's almost no way for them to kill him. Look, he even turns around, smacks the anchor smash down, and no problems for him.
Howl of Terror is good and all, but
another
Kraken
rotation,
Shell
though.
is still going to do a flat block. It doesn't care how much armor he does or doesn't have.
They don't have enough mana for the other stun, but Banana looked like he might have not quite been paying attention there. They're going to move back around on Rabbit. There's the Howl. Now Rabbit at risk a little bit, but Banana wants to man up on Aki here. The Orb of Venom going to work as well. Bulldog taking a lot of damage. Even Loda is down here now, and Bulldog maybe makes it out of here very close. Eats his way through the tree. This is getting very, very sketchy. Still alive for the moment, but Banana running him down. Bulldog, though, and they catch him with an impale. Banana's going to go down, but they might pay with a couple heroes here. Loda is going to make it out, but now Aki does not have a lot of HP, and he lives too. Somehow, Moo is going to come back over. Oh, Misery maybe is dead. Oh, the Crypt Swarm misses. What is happening? This is some clown shoes Dota. Moo is still just by the tower, and finally Misery is going to go down. Jesus, what a mess.
A little bit of ring around the rosy there from both teams, honestly. Not a lot to evaluate there. That just was strange.
That was a mess, man.
I mean, honestly, they lose a lot of... Alliances probably comes out of that a little worse for wear, even though they traded 1-for-1 for kills.
With Loda rotating out of the lane, I think.
Yeah, everybody had to move around. Everybody has to go to Fountain because they're all at 3 HP. Loda loses time. How doesn't do anything, so he's just farming happily away.
Just continuing onwards here, and Banana now is sort of taken over the enemy jungle, taking up residence here. Not too much they can do about it. Loda is now rotated down to this bottom lane, so this is sort of what you were talking about earlier, but I don't think this is out of because of the aggression. This is more of they're in a bit of trouble now, so they're going to try to secure him a little bit better farm. Misery taking some damage here. Does get a nice carapace off on that Crypt Swarm, so...
This is a very neat rotation from Newbee. This is actually something they never used to do, so even though Newbee hasn't been that strong since TI4. This represents a nice little strategic evolution. Check out them putting... They give Sunshine quite a bit of time in the mid, which I think is actually really smart. It's something that the DK, pre-TI4 DK was probably the best team I've ever seen at like giving the supports farm and XP when they need it. And so they basically rotated moves semi-permanently to take this tier 1 bottom tower and gave Sunshine a free level and a half by rotating mid. I think it's a neat little play.
That tower is going to be going down in the bottom lane. Not too much they can do about that. Alliance are gearing up to maybe try to trade toward middle, but they're just a little bit late to the party. Maybe they can set something up here with Misery on Moo, who does not have a ton of HP. Chessie is getting very close to the Blink Dagger. That's going to help quite a bit. Misery's seen out here by the ward. He does get a nice carapace off there. And again, going to reflect most of that damage. Banana is still only level 4, so no Doom. There is a Ravage, though, for Rabbit, and Loda needs to be a bit careful here. Should be okay.
He does, and the problem is that Alliance, they pick this hyper-aggressive early approach with Avenged Nyx. Nyx has gotten tolerable levels, but nothing amazing.
Aki's level 2.
Yeah, so Venge is level 2. The rotation was immediately met by a rotation. That was really smart of Newbee, too. Banana came down even preemptively, and Moo came down to counter the rotation they knew was going to happen. And so Loda right now, 21 last hits at 8 minutes, farming the jungle, and not quickly. I mean, he's got Tread's BMS, but...
Oh, they're going to try to make some movements on Moo here. Do they actually have enough damage to bring him down? It looks like it's going to be close. Bulldog is coming over. Going to try to wrap this one up. Looks like he has an Orb of Venom of himself. Now Sanshang is here. They're going to try to turn this back around, and Misery, who is going to fall in the end to How. Aki at risk. He's going to try to stop him. No, still. Aki is going to go down, and that's... I think a waste of a Brew ulti. They try to save him, does not work. Sanshang is very low, but he's going to live as well with Rabbit coming over. He's got Ravage. Bulldog cannot move into that. Now Bulldog, he's going to fall as well. Concussive Shot is coming in, and there's almost no way for him to make it out of this one. Goes down in the end to the Anchor Smash, so that was a huge exchange there for Newbee.
Not at all worth it. They lose the Brew ult, they lose 3 people. They do get a level each for Nyx and Venge by killing the level 8 Death Prophet, but man, they paid a lot for it. How got 2 kills and an assist. He went this sort of smart scrapping mid-game build. He didn't like rush Lincolns or anything. He just went, wait, what? Okay. He bought and then sold the Gloves of Haste. I wasn't sure if he was going to go Maelstrom or something. But he just has Treads Akala against these low HP heroes.
That's pretty good. It's a lot of damage.
Yeah, it'll kill people.
Yeah. Over 100 and couple levels in Geminate attack. Misery going to take a little bit more damage. He's done a really nice job with these Spike Carapaces, but now Moo, he's just going to be Death Prophet. Take down that tower. And one thing that new glyph does not really help against is something like this. I mean, it buys you a couple of seconds, sure, but not too much that Alliance can do to, you know, contest this at all. And Loda is now looking extremely underfarmed with only 31 CS. Howe sitting comparatively at 55, so Alliance are definitely in a bit of trouble here. I think they're going to have to use Chessie to get back into this. Unfortunately, 50 seconds rather until he does have that ulti available again. Banana coming in. Also still does not have Doom, so he is getting up there to level 6, but does not have it quite yet with, I mean, he's just kind of been roaming, hitting people with the Overvenom. It's been a little awkward for him.
I definitely agree that Chessie has to get a lot done. The question is, how much can he get done, right? Like, Newbee picked this Doom. The Doom's gonna be trying to get it onto the Brewmaster as much as possible. Between Doom and Skywrath, honestly, they don't have a lot of very appealing targets for their silences other than the Brewmaster so far. So, I mean, yeah.
The thing is, Alliance has they sort of put a lot of effort into that early game, like you were mentioning, with the Vengeful Spirit, with the Nyx Assassin. It did not work out, and now they're finding themselves sort of in recovery mode. They're just trying to, you know, farm up Loda, maybe get Chessie a good team fight, but like you mentioned, that's going to be pretty difficult. And you know, this is going to be a game where the Brewmaster is going to be forced to go BKB. I mean, eventually he's going to need that.
Yeah, I think this is, for Alliance right now, it's a vision game and a zone control game. They got to make sure they keep a good perimeter of wards and prevent Newbee from placing wards on Alliance's side of the map. As long as they can do that and at least make Newbee work a little bit for the towers, if they can get every wasted exorcism is extremely important for Alliance right now. If they can somehow prevent Moo from taking a tower with an exorcism, they get in better shape, a lot better shape every time they do that. Yeah. But until they manage that, the most important thing is to make sure their side is very, very well warded, they protect Loda, and they find enough space for the Nature's Prophet and the Anti-Mage.
Yeah, and Loda is just roaming around the map here, trying to find farm, and now has a Ring of Health, so he's going to be building towards that battle very most likely. No surprises there. Could be a Vanguard, I suppose. Seems extremely unlikely.
Yeah, I can't
cannot imagine that's the choice. They ultied middle. Chessie, please. He's going to try to get a kill on Moo or Sansheng here, but if he doesn't, it's going to be another wasted ultimate for the Brewmaster. And in the end, they do get Sansheng, but is that really worth it is the question. Looks like that was out of necessity as Chessie comes out of it at pretty low HP.
I mean, it's... I don't know. It's okay.
That's not what they're looking for. They need more than that, I think. You know?
Yeah, they brought Bulldog over to help out. He got the kill.
They're going to try to initiate on Howe here in the top lane, and
no way.
Seems pretty unlikely that they're going to be able to
I don't see how that happens, right? Like they just really don't
with
have
time lapse. He has tons of mana. Shikuchi, he knows something is up here. He's just sitting here in Shikuchi, and now he's going to see Loda, probably know what's going on, and there's pretty much they're going to rotate over Aki as well. Maybe with 3 heroes they can get this done, but still time lapse is going to be a pretty big issue. But Howe now is going to have to make it out of here sooner rather than later. Maybe not, actually, as Moo is just taking another tier 1.
Yeah. The fact is, even if they did kill the Weaver, I think the bigger danger is that they're losing their towers. Honestly, at this point, the Vendetta from Nyx is more useful to, like, have safety while wandering around the map and scouting and placing wards than it is going to generate kills for you. Like, yeah, maybe you kill a Skywrath, but...
That's pretty much it. Moo is going to take down the tower. And Banana has still been roaming around. Now does have that level 6. Skywrath getting fairly close to his level 6 as well. So that Mystic Flare going to be a big problem for the Nyx as well as the Venge, obviously, with just not a lot of HP for these guys. And it looks like they're going to try to get a kill again in the top lane. I
mean, it's definitely good to try to get them where they can.
Can they get Howe?
Yeah, they can, I think.
No, they're not going to get greedy here. But the Ravage is going to come in. Rabbit's going to try to turn this one around. Now Howe gets time for the time lapse. They did not account for Rabbit being in the vicinity, who has a Blink Dagger, and they get a double kill. And that is a disastrous fight for Alliance. I mean, Loda just died.
Newbee are masters of the counter gank. When they have vision, and so one of the reasons why I feel Newbee was so strong in TI4 and one of the reasons why Alliance was fairly weak is Newbee has very, very good grasp of the vision game, and Alliance hasn't for a while now. The 2 teams that were the worst at warding at TI4 were Alliance and Na'Vi.
Oh my god. Yeah. That was the most unfortunate Centaur stomp I've seen in
it was
quite a while.
But the reason it happened, I mean,
they're ulti again, Chessie.
It's these words, dude.
Chessie is getting so aggressive with these Brewmaster ultis. We'll see if he's able to get a kill on Banana here. Earth Panda is not even close in the vicinity, so that is not going to happen. This is pretty sketchy.
He's just trying to make space, right? Like the rest of the team is completely incapable of making space right now because they're too behind. So he understands that it sort of falls to him to generate that space and counter the pressure, but I'm just like, I understand the thought behind it. But
the problem that's not something that wins, you know. It's something that keeps you from losing.
Yeah, I agree.
So
and
you have to make that turn.
Words from Newbee are just, they're countering the Alliance, what Alliance needs to do pretty much perfectly by just placing these offensive wards, counter-warding Alliance, and forget this quadrant, right? Like they can't do anything in this entire portion of the map. Which is why you see Loda hasn't gone east of this line in 10 minutes.
I mean, Newbee have just parked themselves in the jungle here. So, I mean, how often have we gone over to the jungle? Banana is just wandering around, and he's a threat, you know. With Doom, every hero on the map has to be afraid of him at this point.
I agree.
And how? Putting some serious damage out on Loda. Now Loda going to try to get the tower. Misery comes in. They are going to get the impale off on Hal. But with the Aegis, they are going to get out of there. Perseverance for him. So he's going to be going for the Lincoln Sphere next. And no surprises there. That's going to help him out against the Venge swap. Venge stun, of course. Mana Void. There's a lot of good abilities that's going to be helpful against.
I mean, Loda's working his way towards Battle Fury. They know that Newbee rules the east side, so now they've just, you see, they're using wards just on the west side. They even have one over here. So, I mean, Loda's pretty safe here. He'll see anything that's coming in. How is not going to solo kill Loda without help, so.
Yeah, and Loda actually has recovered fairly nicely here. He's up to 78 CS. His Battle Fury is nearing completion, which 16 minutes, you might say that's a bit late, but you do have to remember, of course, that he bought full treads first, and Misery might be able to get rid of this entire smoke here. That's a pretty big game. They're also going to run into Aki, who is, unfortunately, just going to die. Nothing he can do about that one. But Loda, again, just still farming here. Bulldog's coming over. It looks like maybe they want to pressure this tier 1 tower. They are going to be probably trading it for a tier 2, though. There is no exorcism, but there's just no one here to defend it. They want to get 2 tier 1s out of this, which is a pretty good trade. Newbee's not going to let that happen.
Am I lagging, or is Ake still level 5 at 17 minutes into the game?
That's not great. That's level 5. I mean, he's just been wandering, right? He's been trying to gank. He hasn't been able to get it.
No,
ooh, Loda is playing with fire.
When your Nyx is also struggling, even though he's struggling less than the VS is not gonna do it by herself. Like it needs to be the both of them, and they're not both in the place that they need to be. Nyx is doing some decent forward scouting and clearing space for Loda, but I don't know. It's a very, very, very tough game right now, and Newbee know how to put the screws on. So we'll see if Alliance can generate enough space for the anti-mage to come back, because he just hasn't really had much impact, and neither has Bulldog, frankly.
Yeah, that's sort of the main issue here. They're trying to create some space, and it's not really working. So this is we'll find out. I mean, Loda does have a decent amount of farm, so maybe they have created enough space for him. But it's gonna be hard with Newbee. Just a mounting gold lead here is kind of ever present. So this is definitely an issue.
I mean, Alliance know what they have to do. They know how to play it. It's just a matter of like they have to they have to do more with less. They have underlevel supports, they have difficulty generating space, and they have difficulty maintaining vision. But they need to do all 3 of those things if they're going to hang on.
Yeah, they're going to try to make moves on Banana in the mid lane. Looks like they are going to get him. Miz are going to pick that one up, but Aki now is level 6, so that's something. But he's in the bottom lane, pushing in here. He's just going to walk up to the high ground, start putting damage out. Yules is done for him, so he's pretty safe. And we'll see if he puts himself up in the air. How is here as well. There he goes back up. The Fire Panda is down, so that's a lot of the damage from the Brewmaster dead. There goes the Wind Panda as well, and now How is just running around. Still does have time lapse and the Aegis. Misery, fairly nice stun there, as well as the Spike Carapace. How can eat a stun as well, but have to remember the Aegis still here. He is going to time lapse to get a lot of that HP back, but Newbee is just presenting a lot of pressure right now, but Loda smartly is split pushing up in the top lane.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely appropriate, because otherwise what do they do, honestly? How is doing very well. He's like 2 levels ahead, a lot net worth ahead. He's at, what, like 10k net worth? Yeah. And the Death Prophet is just really, really strong right now. The Brewmaster really can't stand up to her. He doesn't have That Fire Panda just dies so fast.
Yeah.
And, I mean, in a stand-up fight, the Brew, yes, he can get Death Prophet out of Yules, but, like, he just can't stand up to that, the Assault of the Spirits. And nothing else they have stands up to it either. So, they're really struggling. This is like Alliance trying to do new meta, and Newbee being like, you know, we like the old meta. It worked fine for us.
Yeah, oh god, Misery's gonna run right into a sentry here. Sanshang gonna take some damage, but whoa, oh boy, there's a little bit of miscommunication with the Mystic Flare coming in. I don't know if it's gonna cost them. Maybe, well, the Impale catches a couple here, but Banana, I think, is gonna be able to run him down in the end. Misery is going to fall, but that was almost a pretty hilarious misstep there by Newbee. They Yules him, drop a Mystic Flare at the same time, but in the end, Misery is still gonna go down.
Yeah, that was... I don't know. Sometimes you see them do stuff like that lately, where it's just not quite as sharp as when Xiao8 was calling all the shots and screaming at everybody at the top of his lungs to keep them in line. They need a new screamer.
They need some guidance, guidance there.
But honestly, like, but they do have a game plan here. They're highly talented enough to execute it. So
Yeah.
they're doing fine.
Well,
But they have struggled. Like they lose a lot these days to like Vici and IG. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like Alliance has been able to tap into that same vein.
Yeah, and moving forward, Alliance just, I mean, at this point, their eggs are in the Anti-Mage basket. 20 minutes here, he does have an okay amount of farm, but he's 2,500 net worth away from the Weaver, who now has a Linken's and a completed Demon Edge.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's not
The
good.
Demon Edge probably...
I mean, MKB, most likely.
Yeah, an MKB, I think, which is, I think, great. It'll forestall any possibility of AM going for, like, Battle Fury. I mean, sorry, Butterfly. He might anyway, but...
Oh, they're going to go on Hal here. It looks like they are going to get the kill. That's a nice little bonus for them.
Yeah, that's huge, actually. Because Newbee are sufficiently ahead that comeback gold is the thing.
Yep. It's not quite as severe as when we entered this patch, but still definitely something that is going to be helping out Loda here. He's just going to continue farming, so...
Nah, you still really want it, for sure.
Bulldog is putting pressure on the lanes, has gone for the Blink Maelstrom build, so that's the ultimate split push build, basically, when it comes down to it. And Alliance looking for some action here in the middle of the map, but the entire Newbee team is in the Radiant jungle, so they're not going to be finding it much. Loda actually might be at risk here.
That would be bad. I mean, even apart from the draft, I feel like in general, Alliance over the past few weeks has just morphed into a much more Loda-centric team. So like when he's not doing well, it just they rarely,
sort of
if ever,
crumples.
have a plan B.
And oh boy, Moo has a BKB. Interesting second item out of Moo, and Dire Courier is going to go down. Nothing going to be on that one right here in the mid lane. Lots of Alliance parking it in this jungle. Misery's going to see these guys walking up the hill. How sees Loda here, and we'll see if they're going to have an engagement. This is a really weird position for both teams. Chesty is going to move forward, but Moo has the BKB. Not sure if they saw that one. They are going to be able to blow up Sanshang, but now Moo, he's going to be looking to bring down Misery. Not too much Chesty can do about that. The Tidehunter has come up as well, and that seems like it's going to most certainly be the death of Misery here. Trying to make it out is going to go down. The Crypt Swarm going to finish him off. Now the Brewmaster is going to make it out.
I'm gonna reconnect in a sec. I'm getting like
That
thing is actually
slideshows.
out of hand right now. Yeah,
Nice.
it's beyond slideshow.
Perfect
In
world.
fact, beyond to the slideshow.
Yeah, perfect world, please. So, continuing forward, Loda is he's just farming. I mean, this is what he needs, and he just needs to continue doing this. So he has the Yasha. He's going to be going for the Mana style next. No surprises there, and we'll see if this is enough, because normally you say Anti-Mage is, you know, an extremely powerful carry around 30 to 35 minutes. Loda is going to be a little bit delayed behind that. The thing is that there's just a lot of farm on Newbee to sort of deal with that. I mean, Banana is even doing okay. He has a mechanism. Weaver is going to be super farmed, so he's going to be hitting Loda extremely hard, and if they get a silence off on him, obviously the Manta is going to deal with that, but he might have to use it a little bit early. He's not going to be able to use it to fight. Things are just really awkward here for Alliance. They kind of need everything to just continue falling into place at this point.
They've been hanging on okay, considering. Like I could see Newbee have already won this game. Like there's definitely versions in which Alliance isn't able to generate fights on Newbee's side of the map. Like even if you lose a fight, if it's on Newbee's side of the map and you get an Exorcism to be used, it's actually not the end of the world. Like does Anti-Mage make it out? Does Nature's Prophet make it out? Did you waste Exorcism? That's like the checklist. And even if everybody else died, Brew died, Nyx died, Venge died, it's fine. Like
Yeah.
you just need to delay.
But Bulldog is doing a good job here pressuring these other lanes, but man, look at this newbie vision. This is something else, man.
Yep.
You were not kidding. Their map control is completely superb here, and it's definitely showing. Oh, Bulldog! Oh God, he dies. All right, well, that's not great.
Ouch.
The
Yeah,
bug-
I mean, Newbee, they're one of the things that they're good at is like they'll do a smoke and they never forget that like regardless of whether the smoking finds anybody or not, if they didn't get desmoked, they'll place forward wards. Like
Every time,
they
yeah.
always put forward wards up, and I think it helps them a ton, especially because they have that sort of counter ganking, counter team fight style that vision is crucial to making work.
So it's going to be a refresher for the Tidehunter. Probably no surprises there, and looks like the tier 2 is going to fall here for Alliance, and again, they're just not really putting up any resistance. Loda is just split pushing away, still continuing to try to find something on another part of the map here, and it looks like he is going to get the tier 1. That's going to be enough to finish up the Manta, but they're losing a tier 3 tower to the Exorcism. Loda does get the tier 1, but now he's going to be forced to come back. Does come on back. Moo is going to pop the BKB as soon as the Brewmaster moves in. Hal taking some damage. They do have vision down for him. The Ravage is there, and that is unfortunately not going to do anything. Banana stuck in the trees. Looks like he might go down. They do bring down the Doom, so a fairly good fight despite the loss of the tier 3 here for Alliance. But Sangshank, he's probably going to fall as well. Chessie moves forward. There's the clap. Now he's Yule's up in the air. Loda going to blink forward, try to continue this fight. Ravage use, time-lapse use. Still a lot of damage for Hal, though, so they need to use some sort of CC on him. There is a Vendetta Nyx in pursuit. Chessie moves forward. There's the Mana Void. Hal is still alive, though. He's so close to dying, and the wave cleans him up in the end. Whew. Good fight there for Alliance, but they did lose the tier 3, so...
Rax still not even hurt though, luckily. So they didn't take any damage on either Rax, it looks like. Honestly, that's a good hold. I don't see many ways
they
in
don't-
which
they
they
don't
hold
really
the tier 3.
They don't really lose anything there, so beyond the tier 3, their heroes are all still alive. They're still split pushing. Loda and Bulldog now maybe get a tier 2 of their own, which is a pretty big game, so... I think Alliance are really happy with that fight.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That was almost...
That's pretty much
It's not that-
perfect.
Yeah, it's not that losing the tier 3 isn't bad. It
It's
is
just there's
bad.
no world where that doesn't really die.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. There was no way that they were saving that tier 3. So the fact they saved Rax, they brought down the highest value target.
Oh,
for
Misery.
Hal again.
Misery's dead, but that's a small price to pay for what they just got. They got a tier 1 bottom, they got a tier 2 top. They won a fight, and I
That's
think
huge, I
this
think.
this gold graph going to start curving back in the way of Alliance and
Lotus
XP
caught
as
up.
well.
I mean, yes.
Yeah, he's topping the net worth now.
I mean,
He has
Anthony does
2,000
farm a
gold
lot
after that
faster than
fight.
Weaver, but, like,
Jesus.
yeah.
I mean, coming into that, he had 2,000 gold and no Manta. Now he has a Manta and 2,000 gold on Ogre Club as well. So looks like most likely is going to be the BKB next for Loda, and that sort of signifies that he's ready to go here. They're not going to be going mega late. Anti-Mage does not get that great in the mega late game anyway, so he's going to be going for the
It's
BKB
just
here
that
to
in
fight.
the Mega Late game, I see Doom could get an Ags.
Yeah, Doom
Like,
getting Ags, and
that would
Weaver's
be
going to be
rough.
just destroying him, right? So.
Yeah. Like Ags is good on Doom now, especially in this game. It's going to be very, very effective. So no, I agree. They don't want to let it get super late. They just want to get loaded to the point at which you can very effectively split push, and just split push the hell out of 2 lanes with him and Nature's Prophet.
And they're going to go for the Roshan here, so it does not look like there's going to be any contest for this.
Yeah, I don't see. I think you probably can't do that, and that will give Newbie sort of the gas that they want to keep pushing, because they need racks. Honestly, it would be that last push was when they wanted to get the first set of racks. And
Yep.
this next one is like, if they don't get the racks, they're gonna start getting a little nervous.
And moving forward here, looks like Alliance are going to be scared off of the tier 2 by Moo. The Roshan is going to go down, picked up by Hao. Chessie has gotten an Aghanims of his own. He also has a Vlad's, so that aura going to be helpful for Loda, and the plus armor going to be pretty good as well against the Weaver and the Ghosts.
Yeah. And I think it looks like Xiaotuji is actually pretty close to his refresher. He hasn't died, so he's been getting quite a bit of money. Phage pointed out that
Tidehunter is a very when he can get early timings for that refresher, it's very, very hard to stop. He said his win rate's around like 80% if he finishes at 430. It doesn't look like he'll quite do that, but he's going to be like really close, because I mean, he hasn't
It's really
died.
close,
He's been able
yeah.
to find farm. He's been a core, and 2 Ravages is going to be pretty hard for most of these heroes to live through.
Yeah, and that's sort of one of the biggest problems is there's just not a lot of HP. There is a Force Staff for Aki, so that's going to help him out. He is going to be TPing on out of here, so it looks like this big Newbee smoke gank is not going to find anything, so Alliance are not really farming the map right now because they don't exactly know where this smoke gank is. You saw Loda hiding in the trees, but now they're fairly confident that it is not in the bottom lane, so they're just going to continue pushing out here. Bulldog and Loda are going to be looking to get this tier 2 while this push is occurring.
Yeah, and honestly, the faster, the more they can get the tier 2s down and actually credibly threaten the tier 3s, the more Alliance brings this game back to some semblance of parity. Because Newbee's gonna, if they're pushing a tier 3 and you're pushing a tier 2, they'll take that trade every day. But if they're pushing a tier 3 and you're threatening the tier 3 with anti-mage or Prophet or both, then it becomes a much more fraught decision on Newbee's part. And I mean, Loda is farming up an absolute storm. He's got one of the highest GPMs historically on anti-mage. And like you can see why. He knows where to find the farm. In this game, he knew where to stay safe and where to farm when Newbee had control of another part of the map, and that's why he's only died once.
Yeah, and Reaver for a Death Prophet, so now tanking up, going to be finishing up that hard. I think it's actually, yeah, it's on the Courier, so that's done, but I don't see that being that big of an issue. I mean, they have the anti-mage at this point with the aura from, rather the Wave of Terror from Aki. I think they should be able to bring down Mu if they really concentrate on him, so we'll find out. I mean, it does, the biggest problem is if they don't like really concentrate on bringing him down, he can just back up, he'll regen up a ton of HP, and that will be a big issue.
It definitely will be, and I could see him honestly building a refresher from this. If it starts to go really long, like he could just stay up forever and just continually use the spirits and just be too much of a pushing threat for even anti-mage to counter. He is huge, like, I mean, yeah, if they put all their resources on him and they get him out of Yules, that would be great.
Yeah, then you can argue, though, what's going to happen if they use all their resources. Loda found himself in no man's land here. They're going to move forward. Sansheng is going to go down. And looks like Banana as well, so decent fight. But there's the Ravage coming in. He has the Refresher, and now he's going to pop off the second Ravage. Misery. Looks like he's going to go down. Loda, he's got one with the Doom on him. He's tossed up in the air. They're going to make sure they can get this kill, and that Refresher could not have come at a worse time. For Alliance. Misery is just going to die to the bug and spirits here. Oh boy.
Really brutal. And honestly, you have to say that they could have predicted when the Refresher was going to come out, because he was in... They've had this ward up, and he walked past this ward twice with 11 or 1200 gold, plus Perseverance, plus the Oblivion Staff. He didn't hide it at all. Sometimes you see Tidehunters hide how farmed they are by leaving it in stash, but Rabbit was just carrying it around. And this is the exact time that you expect, given how to be his item loadout at that point in the game.
Yeah, look at this. Nature's Prophet has opted for BKB, and that's sort of just testament to that double Ravage. They can't really stand that, honestly, at this point. So they're going to be picking up as many BKBs as possible to deal with that. Unfortunately, does not look like Loda had his.
That's definitely a great fight for Newbee. The question is, how much do they get for it? Right?
Yeah, because they haven't really taken any extra map control from that fight.
I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about before, which is, if a fight is a disaster, yeah, it's a disaster, but you'd really, really prefer it to be on their side, right? Because if that fight happened on Alliance's high ground, like, say goodbye to your game. But the fact that it happened up here, I think, I'm getting like 1 frame per 20 seconds right now, means that Newbee had to sort of scramble to get anything out of it. Which is, for Alliance, I mean, it's not good, but it's not awful.
Yeah, now the BKB is done for Loda, so presumably he won't get destroyed by the double Ravage in the next fight. Doom is still something he has to worry about. Misery getting a little aggressive on Mu there, and unfortunately that's not going to do too much, but Chessie is going for the re-engage here again. Mu is going to drop off that BKB. Banana getting so much damage. He gets one up. How? No, he gets the time lapse off just barely, and that was the worst time for the Aegis to get reclaimed, but it looks like it is not going to matter too much. Though they're going to swap him back. Maybe it is. Does not look like they have detection in the front. A really long range with a rock there, and Alliance, well, that could have been worse.
Yeah,
that feels like the motto to this game. It could have been worse for Alliance.
Yeah, definitely. And like, it's a very fine line, but it's the one that separates them getting multi racks from still having all of their barracks up and still being more or less in the game. I want to see more from Bulldog, Greg. Like,
he has not really had an impact on this game.
I mean, he's taken a lot of farm, right? Like, he's killed a lot of creeps.
That is true.
But what has he, like, I feel like Loda's taken all the towers. I can't think of a tower that Bulldog actually took solo. He has this, like, It's a build.
It's
like,
a
he's got
split
items.
build.
Yeah.
Because he has the Blink and the Mjolnir, which is sort of the split pushing build. And then he has the BKB, so he's saying, well, I'm going to have to fight anyways.
Right.
But now there's going to be pressure on the high ground.
Right. And I understand his reasoning, but it does mean that he's just not super effective at either room.
Yeah, Chessie does not have ulti here, so it looks like he is just going to go down. Gets stuck in the trees with Moo. He does have the buyback. Ulti's going to be up in 20 seconds. But can Alliance actually hold their base through this exorcism? And Bulldog, there's the BKB, pops forward. One Ravage not doing too much. There is a second Ravage available. Lodal has popped off his BKB. It's been to take down the Skywrath Mage. And there's the second Ravage. That one much more effective. Hits on a few. And Loda is going to get a kill in the end, though, with that mana break. And well, Newbee, they're pushed back, but there's a lot of damage done to the racks. And Banana is dead. Moo looks like he's going to die here as well. So Alliance are going to get a 5-man wipe off the back of a high ground push.
Huge.
And the Rax is still alive. That's a pretty huge deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is when you want that BKB on both the Nature's Prophet and the Anti-Mage. Because these guys deliver your damage. They've got to stay alive. They've got to try to stop both Ravages if they can. And, I mean, that was... Oh, I mean, the Rax took a lot of damage, but one of those Raxes is going to regen, and one of them is arranged. So, honestly,
yeah, they're going to get a tier 3 off of this.
Better for Alliance, yeah.
And they're going to move forward on Banana. They want to bring him down in the base. Looks like they are going to do so. And now Loda is becoming a machine. Around 35 minutes, this is when Animage really starts to come alive, and he has 4K gold in the bank as well. They're going to get a Rax here. Alliance, this game looked really rough for them, and
It did.
they fought back. And Loda has gotten so much farm that it looks like it might work for them.
They play this almost the same strat in almost every game, and they've gotten it to... They've really, really filed it to, like, knowing exactly how to play it. And they got the fights that they needed. The bad fights were all in convenient locations, and the good fights were all in the right locations, right? Like, when they really needed to win the fights on their own high ground, they took them.
And Hao's going to move forward. BKB. Oh. Aki taking, oh god, that's some damage right there. MKB gonna help bring him down. Now up in the air is the Tidehunter, but they might get 2 sets of Raxes here. They do get the melee Rax. They looks like they might not get the range Rax, but at this point, does it really even matter that much? Chessie is not gonna be making out of this one, and the range Rax is taking a lot of damage here. It's very close to dying, 63 HP, and that one, of course, is not gonna regen. So Alliance, they got just a ridiculous amount out of the last 2 minutes of this game.
They completely turned this game around and are now they're up. Honestly, like, they went from somewhat behind but not crushingly behind to nearly crushingly ahead, because this is actually going to be really, really hard for Newbee to do anything with at this point. They haven't taken a single Rax. They missed
I think the
3 or 4
is,
opportunities for high ground pushing that were really
well, that increased Doom cast time coming into effect here. Loda is still alive for the moment, pops off the BKB. And now there's no mana left for Banana to use that Doom, and
wow,
Loda's out of here. That was very well played.
Yeah, and that's very patch change as well, right? Even being
it looks like Alliance might lose a Rax here. Moo does have Exorcism, and they're definitely going to lose one. They do have Glyph for this one, but it looks like they are going to let it fall. And Bulldog, he gets the Courier as well as the Rax. Well, that's good value there.
It's still tense. It's not like, I mean...
swap back for Moo. BKB. Is he actually going to make it through here? It looks like he is going to be fine, but now his BKB is wasted. Newbee going for the second lane of Rax. If they don't get this Rax, I think they're in a really tough position. But Brewmaster is going to be up in 10 seconds here. They do get the melee Rax, and now this game is starting to even back up.
Really smart.
Sanchang bashed. Misery moves forward. He misses the Impale. There goes the Ravage. There's one. There's going to be another. But there is a BKB Bulldog going through this. But Loda, he's been doomed. Have Alliance maybe just lost. There's a lot of buybacks coming back. It looks like they're going to be okay for the moment. But Hao is running rampant with the triple kill. Sanchang is going to make it out of here. Chessie not going to find what he wants. The ulti is available. The Blink Dagger is on cooldown, though. Well, that was a messy fight for Alliance. They do lose quite a bit for it.
They definitely lost a lot. I mean, they lost, so they lose in the end. 1.5 sets of Rax for the 2 that they took, including the melee in a lane where they don't even have the tier 2 of Newbee down. I mean, Newbee, it's funny, like, the response of Newbee compared to how VG played against Alliance yesterday. Right?
Impale up in the air. Loda moving forward. Rabbit. Well, he's going to go down. Bulldog going to pick that one up. Hao taking a lot of damage as well. They're going to ulti here with the Brewmaster. Sanchang is dead for sure. Buybacks coming in. Bulldog moving towards the mid lane. They're gonna get Banana. He's definitely dead, but the Tidehunter's bought back. Sansheng's bought back, but there's no ulti from New. There's no ulti for Tidehunter.
Uh-oh.
And it looks like Alliance might be going for Roshan here, as opposed to the base.
Maybe wise.
Now, hard to say. With the ultis down, maybe they can get it, but it's close.
Well, also just securing the Roshan and preventing Newbee from doing it.
How is just going forward here. There is a Ghost Scepter, though. And unfortunately, Misery is going to go down, but is Hao going to pay for it? Yes, he is. Moves forward as well. Does have the Exorcism in a couple of seconds. They want to try to bring him down. Shiva's Guard going to make that hard. Hao buys back. Time lapses into the fight. Rabbit's here. There's still no Ravage, though. And it looks like they are going to disengage here. At least going to try to. Bulldog taking damage. The BKB, nope, he's going to stop. The BKB ends. He gets silenced. And now Roshan possibly going the way of Newbee, with Bulldog buying back to come back into that last fight. He can't buy back again. And now, oh god, Lotus just going into the fight. Jesse's here as well. There is no ulti. The Exorcism is going to bring Jesse down, but a big Mana Void is going to blow up the Weaver again, as well as the Skywrath Mage. But the Exorcism's still up. Roshan maybe is still at fault, or still at risk here. But things definitely look a little bit better now for Alliance. That was a big Mana Void. Now Moo taking damage. They're going to move forward. They're going to try to bring him down. Loda does not have that much HP to work with yet. No heart or something like that. Aki swapping. Now he's up in the air by Moo. Does go down. And in the meanwhile, they do lose another Rax down in the bottom lane. This is getting real sketchy.
They'll be okay losing the ranged bottom, but yeah, this is sort of what you
Ravage on Loda. Oh god,
Oh.
he dies.
Wow.
All right, that's not good.
No, that is actually quite bad.
Yeah, he has
but
no
all of a sudden
buyback.
it exploded into like 4 end-to-end team fights, right? That's actually there's a tier 4 down as well. Are there 2 tier 4s down?
Almost. It's very close. 130
Yeah, I mean
HP.
this game is getting to the point where either team can end it extremely quickly if just one more of these fights goes convincingly one way or another. In the last 5 minutes, we've had 7 buybacks? 7 buybacks.
Yeah, there's been a lot, and these fights are getting very intense. Misery trying to get some damage here in the mid lane, and Bulldog, he's just going to come in. They're going to take down the tier 4 tower easily. There is no way that this is going to live. There is going to be a glyph, but there's a lot of creeps here. They should be able to grab it. It's going to be very close. Maybe not. Nope. 50 HP, but Roshan going to go down. Tidehunter going to be the one to grab that Aegis. Banana has the cheese.
Who's with the cheese? Okay. It's interesting that they put it on Doom. I would maybe consider giving it to Death Prophet for a 6th slot if she hasn't filled it yet.
And continuing forward, Admiral Bulldog, I think in the last couple of minutes has sort of, you know, what we were talking about earlier, not a lot of game impact. It definitely has turned that around. These fights, he's been putting on a lot of DPS now. He's gone for the Chrysalis, so this Blink Dagger has not really paid off, but he has so much farm that it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And
the Blink's been whatever, but the fighting items are
the
good.
Mjolnir has been really good, as well as the Chrysalis now, so he's putting out some decent damage. The BKB has been invaluable through the Ravages. I mean, without the BKB, he just dies in every single fight, right? He gets Ravaged and he's...
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he's so much, because Brewmaster is really not gonna... I mean, Brewmaster is mostly a burst-focused hero. He doesn't provide that much sustained damage in a long fight. Somebody's got to do it. Sure as hell isn't going to be Nyx Assassin, so that's why you load up your Nature's Prophet with damage items and try to go to town. But still, I mean, it's a very, very, very tense situation for
yeah, and I mean, at this point, Bulldog has been the split pusher, but much earlier in the game, it was sort of Loda that was holding that one down, so... Interesting game here from Alliance, and at this point, like you were mentioning, it's sort of anyone's game, right? I mean, it's extremely sketchy at this point for both teams, with a tier 4 about to be dead and the Rax exposed here for the Dire. On the other side, 2 lanes of Rax are down for both teams. It's getting very weird, and Newbee are just holding up this tier 2 tower. They know how important this tower is, because mega creeps for them are going to be very, very hard to deal with. They don't really have, you know, they don't have an any-mage of the Battle Fury. They have a Weaver. Crypt Swarm is okay for spamming down waves, but it's not like they have the Battle Fury on the AM or something like that to really clear them out, or like a PL or something, you know?
Right. Their Weaver is quite poor at clearing out something like mega creeps. I definitely agree there. Honestly, like, Anti-Mage is definitely way, 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 way better than Weaver, but Neither team is like the perfect team for clearing Viper creeps.
No.
Nobody has like a Kunkka or a Medusa or a
Yeah,
Sniper
something
or
like that. But Alliance looked like they were gearing up to maybe push through this top lane. Newbee are ready for it, and that's going to stop that aggression. Loda, what's his next item here? I feel like he might just need some straight HP at this point. He could go for an Abyssal, sort of an aggressive
I
build.
would do Abyssal,
And
honestly.
that gives him some extra game against the Weaver. It
Yeah.
helps him just make sure he can actually kill Moo. So
For sure.
that, I think, is a pretty good pickup. He is going to have to wait a while to buy it. He wants to make sure he does have buyback.
He's got to
and-
save buyback, yeah.
That's
like,
gonna
if
be
he
another
dies again the
1,000
way he
gold.
died in that like couple fights ago.
Yeah.
And
When he
has
just
no
randomly
buyback.
got ravaged and died.
There's gonna be some salty Swedes.
Yeah, they're not going to be very happy about that. And looks like Hao is going to spot Loda here. Oh, maybe not. Blinking through. And Chessie moving forward here. But Weaver just time lapses back. And Alliance is going to try to close it out with this tier 2 tower. The Aegis is still up. But Aegis on Tidehunter, what does that really do? It's not that big of a deal. If he dies without ravaging, it's a big deal, but
Which he hasn't happened this
Yeah, it
game
hasn't
yet,
happened
but
yet.
he could die without doing his second ravage, for instance. In some cases. I don't know. It's tough to say. I don't think it's that high impact. The person who has died without getting things off is Doom. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't put Aegis on Doom and Cheese on somebody else like DP. But Death Prophet is actually fairly close to a refresher. It's worth noting. So this is a long and heavily farmed game. Like a lot of players are getting a lot of farm this game. There's basically like 4 people who are just doing nothing but farming and
Yeah.
like fighting when they have to, but like clearing the creeps out. Basically, both jungles and all the lanes have been accounted for in a way you rarely see. And I think this is, Phage says this is the longest game that these two teams have played. So we're gonna sort of see them throw what they've got at each other in one last bid for glory.
yeah, and I mean when you consider that you know, this is sort of I think this is just sort of how this new patch plays out. Teams have to be a little bit more careful, and then with that comeback gold, it makes things like this be able to happen. And it's much less severe than it was when the patch came out, but it's still a factor, and still a factor that we definitely saw in this game, with Loda getting a couple kills, getting a bunch of gold, and now he's up to 6K, so has to be considering that Abyssal very, very soon.
Yeah, it's like
If
a lot
that's
of
the
people
choice.
said. The comeback gold and some of the other mechanic changes mean that there is an impulse towards risk aversion sometimes, like where before you'd be like, yeah, let's go high ground. Now you're going to be like, let's win a huge team fight and then go high ground. And so sometimes you see games fall into a sort of stalemate. And it's interesting how this game was like stalemated, and then like exploded, and now is sort of...
Now we're back. We're back to stalemate while teams are letting their buybacks recover. There is quite a few buybacks now. Half the field does have that up. 3 dire heroes for Newbee and only 2 heroes for the Radiant. And Alliance have just continually been sort of pressuring between this top lane and the bottom lane. Rabbit is camping out here in bottom. Refresher is available. Ravage is not, so he would have to use that if there is a fight in the next minute or so, minute and a half. Things are getting weird here. Now, closing in on 50 minutes, 25 HP left.
The game
on
is
this tower.
definitely tending towards that period that Dendi once famously called random, right? In
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
something's going to happen, and then a team's going to win.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily going to be a team's fault, you know, when that happens, because when it gets this late, you know, you randomly lose like 1 hero and you might just lose the game. So Loda is he's a bit out here, but it looks like he's going to be just fine. He's got a lot of gold. I would like to see him spend some of that soon.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not going to be an Abyssal. I feel like he probably would have finished it.
Yeah,
But if it's not an Abyssal, what is it, like a heart?
I think it's an Abyssal, honestly. He could make a full heart, but I feel like Abyssal will be slightly better.
Yeah, I think the lockdown it gives you for the Weaver is pretty valuable. Weaver now does have a ton of damage, and the Death Prophet this late does fall off a little bit. Really, the Exorcism is going to be good for the towers, but with the AC done on Chessie, you know, they're taking much less damage there from the Exorcism.
That's true.
So
Does Newbee have an AC? It doesn't look like they do, right?
I don't see
No, they
one.
No,
But
they don't.
Chessie has his, and he's had it for a little bit. I mean, the hero that would probably be getting that would be Banana, and
I
he
wish,
does not have
yeah, I wish Doom had a little more farm. Honestly, I
Mm-hmm.
wish they split up the farm a little bit more, and Weaver and Death Prophet were like maybe like half an item. Like this refresher on Death Prophet is nice, but I honestly think an AC on Doom would be a much bigger impact item at this point, or an Ags on Doom for that matter.
Yeah, and I mean, traditionally Death Prophet, Phage pointing out, it's 14 and 3 when you build it, but this game it certainly does not look as clear as we're getting mega late here. But the upside of that refresher is basically you win a fight, you can probably win the game. Loda, he's going to turn back around on Banana. And they're going to have to head back out of here. That does cost him a BKB charge, although with that down 5 seconds now, it's pretty inconsequential.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Refresher is a game ender. Like, and their base race is going to be pretty potent as well. Although, the fact that Alliance...
25 HP on the last tier 4.
Right, exactly. They start from a pretty ahead position in terms of any sort of base racing goes. And it's interesting that both teams have a tier 2 up, although Newbee's tier 2 is also more hurt than Alliance's tier 2 in their one remaining lane. I suspect we might not ever see a team go for Megas this game. They'll probably
I think it's going to win a team fight and then the game's just over. I mean, Megas at this point are... Now we're getting late enough where a lot of the heroes have enough farm to sort of hold them off.
Kinda. Like, Megas would win, but it's like, you know what else would win? Killing the throne. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, if you can get Megas, you're probably just walking over here, right, and just killing this here tower, and then the game's pretty much over, so...
Exactly. Why hire help to kill the throne for you when you can just do it yourself?
Yeah. Why would I get Megas to end the game when I can just walk over there and... Oh, man.
You gotta pay their salary, their union, it's just a mess, dude.
You know, hired help is something that Alliance, maybe a Newbie don't want to deal with. But now, Loda is just throwing his illusions at the bottom tower. And we've again reached sort of a stalemate. But the Roshan is back up now. How much value are these teams going to be placing on this? Probably quite a bit.
Yeah, I actually think Roche is still very, very important in this game. There's plenty of not 6-slotted players that you want to keep alive. A lot of low cooldown heroes on Alliance's side. Like, the supports, honestly, 2 lives would be great for a Nyx. He can get multiple of his mini Ravages off. And on Newbee, the Aegis on Doom would never be bad. More cheeses are very, very good for Newbee. I don't know. I think both teams still have a lot of value in the Roshan.
And How is going to be the one to start this off for Newbee. And Alliance look to be a little bit out of position here to stop this. And they are going to deny the tier 4. So now the throne's exposed. And they're going to move into the Roshan Pay. It's very close to dying, though. They need to make moves now if they're going to go in. Chessie is going to go through here. There's the BKB. There's the Ravage to hold it off for a little bit. Tidehunter is going to grab it. Looks like the cheese might still be on the ground. There's another Ravage, but unfortunately, it's just on the Brewmaster. And Rabbit looks like he is going to go down here. I think the Brewmaster did grab that cheese before dying. Or before ulting, rather. And there's the Aegis down, so that's not going to help him too much. And the Ancient is taking damage here in the base. Loda goes down. Looks like he was doomed. This game is getting extremely bizarre.
Really, really wild. I mean, Loda has buyback, right? So
did cheese just get killed? Or did someone might have eaten just immediately, I guess?
I think either it got eaten immediately or killed. I honestly can't tell.
Oh, Misery has it. Okay. Misery has it.
Does he? Oh yeah, so he does. Nice job, Nyx, for sure. Yeah, that's a very, very useful sneak, honestly, because the Aegis on Tide is already gone. He used both Ravages. And now they can't really brute force until at least one of these Ravages is up. I mean, they'd have to sort of get into a sneaky, advantageous base race, which is actually going to be really hard at this point now that they have no tier 4 towers.
Nothing protecting them. And, oh boy, Alliance are just barely going to make it out of this, the wooded area, the trees. And Newbee looking to pressure again, but with that Aegis down, they have no sort of insurance with the cheese on Nyx Assassin. He's actually dropped that one in the base, and someone else is going to be picking that one up. Looks like it's going to be Chessie.
Okay.
That guarantees an ultimate.
Yeah, it does guarantee the ultimate, which I think is a big deal. It wouldn't be... Honestly, I wouldn't mind it on Bulldog either.
Yeah, he is putting a lot of DPS, so...
He has picked up a Yasha, so maybe Manta?
That seems like it could help. I mean, it is going to help him farm a little bit. Interesting item choice.
I mean, honestly, it's an item that lets you push and base race and fight. Like, it's useful for both of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you argue that a Hex is not as good because the Weaver has a BKB.
It's also kind of almost like a backup BKB because his BKB is down to 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So Loda got out without having to use his buyback, huh? That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he was like in the base while they were roshing, and they TP back a couple heroes to kill him, but they're in no position at that point to really do anything. And buybacks, there's a lot of them available, and they're actually going to move forward here. Doom on Admiral Bulldog. There's a good swap there by Aki. He's completely just sacrificed himself, most likely. Yeah, there's the level of death. He's going to go down. Now the question is, does Bulldog make it out of here? Because that's what they use this for, and it looks like he should be able to. So, good swap there by Aki. keeps Bulldog alive.
Getting Bulldog out is really good. And yeah, I mean, he's primarily used Blink as just an escape tool rather than a pushing or anything like that tool this game. I think it's good because he has died 6 times, but it could be a lot more.
Yeah, that's true. He could have gotten caught a lot more.
Yeah, I think. I mean, yeah, losing the Vengeful Spirit almost completely doesn't matter. He wasn't gonna make any items this game. Like, he's happy with Medallion and 4 staff.
Yeah, he's like, all right, guys. Well, if I can keep you from dying, I've done my work. And oh boy, 2 Invis heroes. Now Shikuchi, I think, does actually hit those Invis units, so he should know that Misery's in the vicinity there. Forces forward. They get the stun off on Banana. Chastity moving as well. Banana is completely gone, and that's what we were talking about. He just nothing happening in these fights for him. How is time-lapse Bulldog gonna fall here? The Brewmaster is not doing too much in this fight. Looks like he is completely stuck here. And Chessie trying to make something happen, but things are getting really weird for him. And the bug's on the Brew. Chessie gonna try to make it out. Does blink out. Moo is able to take down the Nyx Assassin in the meantime, but Chessie gonna try to make it out of here. Still 7 seconds until his Blink Dagger is off cooldown. And he is just trying to find any way out of this one with the bug is on him. I don't know if that's going to happen. There's the Mystic Flare. He's silenced up as now. Actually is going to eat the cheese. And I still don't think he's going to make it out of this one. Tries to get the ultimate off. Or, no, that's on cooldown.
The ult? Yeah, no.
Yeah, never mind. He tried to clap there, but that was, I don't know if that was the best use of the cheese. It seemed like he was probably going to die there no matter what.
Dire's structures
And
are fortified.
Moo was a little under his buyback threshold, but the fact that he participated in that entire fairly successful fight means that he now is bought back, and Bulldog is not. So Bulldog has a full 6 minutes and a lot of gold to make up to get his buyback back. So overall, I think, even though, yes, Banana has not had the greatest game, Newbee is still... I mean, I'd like to say that they're comfortably winning, but the fact is, like, they haven't even threatened high ground since they took those 2 Raxos. So
Yeah, and
the question is, how do you win?
They're at so much risk here because, you know, you try to go for it and maybe Bulldog goes in there and makes some treants and your throne just dies.
It's just so high risk. You're exactly right. It's very, very, very high risk for Newbee to try to win the game because they are just straight up not as mobile as the team.
Oh, and this is exactly what I was talking about. Now they do come over. It's gonna be on Moo. They use the swap that cancels the TP scroll, and they just BOT'd in on the treants there, and that gives them huge mobility on Loda. Moo is definitely gonna die here. There he goes. Immediately buys back, and they're just gonna go to the mid lane. Does Alliance have enough TPs to come back here? It looks like a couple of them do have it, but is Newbee just out positioning them here? Loda, his BOTs are on cooldown. There's one Ravage. There's the split. Now the throne is taking damage. And Loda and Bulldog, no, it's got backdoor protection. There's no way they can win this one. And they're just going to lose the game because of it. Oh my god, what a wild ending.
Oh man, Greg. Yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, you've got the potential to do a base race, but you have to account for backdoor protection then.
Oh my god.
Wow. Newbee just, yeah, it was a delicate game, and like we mentioned a lot, like one small positioning thing was going to win the game for one team or another, and
that was it.
Goes to Newbee, yeah. Not a lot of conclusions you can draw from that game as far as the series, like...
Yeah, that was just a weird game. And then when it goes that late, it's like, well, I don't know what's going to happen, but one team's going to make a mistake.
Some inspired play from various players, some sloppy play from various players, frequently from the same people.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think.
I mean, they do a nice job there when they TP'd up to the top lane to kill Moo, but then he just buys back. BOT's down middle. Loda doesn't have his BOTs because he's just using them to come out to the fight.